The pyramids of ancient Egypt are a key point in the history of humanity and in the accomplishments of mankind. They left behind a legacy of excellence in architecture and in engineering. The pyramids were truly a turning point in world architecture. This is represented through the commendable changes in architecture from the time periods before the pyramids to the time periods afterwards. The pyramids are, of course, in Egypt. The purpose of placing these here was to house the bodies of the pharaohs and to worship the sun god Ra. Each pyramid was used for only one person. However, family members of the pharaohs were sometimes built smaller adjoining pyramids. This adds up to over 120 pyramids scattered throughout Egypt. The pyramids were built by the native farmers of Egypt between approximately 2700 BC and 1800 BC, and they are one of the greatest feats in architecture and in engineering in the history of humanity. The pyramids are among the most durable structures in history, lasting over 3,000 years and still standing strong today. With an intricate substructure built into a much larger superstructure, the pyramids form an obvious three-dimensional pyramid shape. The basic pyramid was constructed of stone cut out of the dry Egyptian ground. According to Larry Hopp, a prominent engineer in Omaha, Nebraska, these stones were nearly always limestone, granite, or marble. These massive stones were about 2.25 to 3 feet in length each. However, they were measured in cubits, an ancient method of measurement. 1 cubit was equivalent to approximately 18 to 21 inches. Over 2,500,000 stones were used per pyramid. According to Sheila Ireland, one of the top architects in Nebraska, the building materials available limited the design greatly. Both constructions are also limited in height by the practical thickness of the supporting walls. With masonry construction, the higher you build, the thicker the walls must be. At some point, this wall thickness becomes limited. Pyramids have huge thick walls and tiny rooms. With engineering, we learn to do better, but masonry construction will always be limited by the thickness to height ratio. While the material limited the design of the pyramids, it also provided great stability that has allowed the pyramids to survive for thousands of years. According to Sheila Ireland, by directing all the weight of the structure toward the center of the pyramid, each wall provides lateral support for the wall opposite, making the form very stable. If you want an opening, you simply find a block that is long enough to span the opening and stack it on top of 2 other blocks or stacks of blocks. The first pyramid, called the Step Pyramid, was built during the 3rd dynasty. This was built by laying a foundation, then adding smaller layers of stone on top of each previous one. Later, the pyramid evolved into the most common pyramid known today. This pyramid was built by originally creating a step pyramid, then adding in limestone finishing blocks to the outer part of the pyramid. To achieve building to the height they are, a ramp was originally built and laid on the side of the pyramid. A large stone block was then pulled up on a sled along the ramp. The taller the pyramid evolved, the longer the ramp became. There are ancient structures that are far more archaic than the pyramids. For example, the Hellenikon pyramid in Greece was completed nearly a century before the Egyptian pyramids were commenced. However, the pyramids in Egypt are much more complex than the Hellenikon pyramid and other pyramids from the same era. The Egyptian pyramids all have substructures that are often incredibly complex, while the Hellenikon pyramid is very simple and was likely used as communication towers. In addition, the Egyptian pyramids had much more influence over future architecture than the Hellenikon pyramid. For example, the pyramids of Egypt started the international phenomenon of the time period, which consisted of building massive pyramids. There are pyramids up to 1,000 feet tall in China and Mexico that resemble the pyramids of Egypt, which were made centuries after the completion of the final pyramid. In addition, the Egyptians were among the first to use triangles in architecture to gain more strength and stability on such a massive scale. Brian Ackert is an architect from Omaha.
The pyramids are actually, they're a geometric form. You always look at like triangles. For instance, if you look at the Henry-Doyle Zoo, there's that big dome that goes over everything. That's called a geodesic dome. It's all made of a lot of triangles, which is actually the most structural form of any sort of shape that you can actually build out of.
Even today, we use triangles to gain strength and stability in massive and average structures alike. Structures before the pyramids are barely comparable to the incredible edifices that are the pyramids. The pyramids were the first of their kind, with no other structure quite like them to this day. After the pyramids, stone was recognized as one of the best options for building large structures that are meant to last, and it is one of the strongest variations of building materials. Today, concrete is used as one of the most common structural components. Modern building techniques, such as the construction of skyscrapers, emphasize the use of steel. However, structures composed of steel will deteriorate more quickly than the pyramids due to oxidation of steel over time. The pyramids are some of the most remarkable structures in every way, from their triangular sides to their stone structures to their advanced substructure. The ancient Egyptian pyramids are an essential part of the history and the accomplishments of mankind. They left behind a legacy of excellence in architecture and in engineering. The pyramids were truly a turning point in world architecture and left a substantial mark on international architecture. This is expressed through dramatic improvement of construction materials, new perspectives, established techniques, and several exceptional and significant discoveries.